Ꭰ겸 Ꭰ궈chu, Gerard Miller d'Agudon. Hello, how are you? My name is Gerard Miller, um, and I am here to share the Tsalagi story of how medicine came to the people. So many long years ago, uh, the Cherokee people, Tsalagi, knew themselves by different names. One of those names was Aniyonia, which is the real people or the original people. And the people lived in what is now North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama. Um, and the people lived in very close community with all of the rest of creation. But there came a time when, humans are smart. So we like to think that we're the biggest and the baddest thing out here, especially when humans got a hold of weapons and they were able to go out and hunt. There's a larger story about why people have to hunt, but the population of humans grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. And much like now, the people started using up more resources than they were putting back. They started consuming things for the sake of consuming. And in particular, they started hunting the animals who had been their friends. It used to be that a hunter could go out, pray, ask the animals to give of their spirit, to give of their body, to help feed and clothe the people. And the animals agreed. But over time, the animals started to feel like they were under attack. There were so many people, there was so much hunting that the numbers of animals started to dwindle. And so Yonah, bear, called a council of all the animals. And Yonah stood up on his big back legs and he said, since these humans came around, we've been in good relation. We've not attacked them, we've shared space, we shared resources. And when they needed it, we allowed them to hunt us. But now, bears are being killed all over the place. And the humans just want more and more and more. After Yonah was done talking, Wahya, wolf, stood up. And Wahya said, yeah, those humans are hunting. And then Tlodachi, the mountain lion, stood up, arched his back, said, humans coming up into the hills, coming up into the forest, and killing us. What can we do about it? Chutla, the fox, stood up, said the same thing. Even little Chistu, the rabbit, came complaining about stories about these humans who were hunting them, and there was nothing they could do. And finally, after hearing everyone's story, Yonah sat back and said, for every bear that is killed, we will give the humans a disease. We'll give them a sickness. And that'll teach them not to mess with us. Wahya, hearing Bear's story, said, you know what? Yeah. For every time a human kills a wolf, there'll be a sickness. Todachi said the same thing. Every time a human kills a mountain lion, there'll be an illness. Ꭰ겸, the fox, said every time that a human kills a fox, we're going to give them a disease. Even little Chistu said, you know what? Yeah, if all the big guys can do it, I can do it too. Because the humans had been killing rabbits without asking, without giving back, without being respectful, we're going to give them a disease. Every animal, one by one, stood up on behalf of their own people in anger and sadness and in retribution, gave an illness to the people. Now, as the animals were meeting in council and were complaining about the humans and were coming up with these schemes, the plants heard them. And the plants took pity on the people because they realized that if every one of the diseases that the animals had spoken touched the people, then the people would be no more. So out of their pity and their mercy, the plants stood up one by one and said that for every illness that an animal spoke against the people, the plant would provide a remedy. The plant would provide medicine. And to this day, that is a story that is told of how illness and how medicine came to the people. It's a short story, but does anyone have any questions? Okay, no questions. So one of the reasons this story is so important to me is in my work as an herbalist, I try my best to have community with plants. I work very closely with plant medicine, and I'm grateful to them every time that I work with them. I ask them to help in the healing project of whatever I'm making. And I remember this story, and I remember their mercy, and I remember their pity on people, and I ask them for their help again. And when I eat, if I eat meat, I remember to thank the animal for giving of itself. If I wear leather, like I have a leather belt, I thank the animal for giving of its skin. And it teaches us to be in good relations with everything around us. And especially at times like this, where scientists are talking about overpopulation and we're having problems with resource extraction and people have a broken relationship with the natural world, this story can go a long way in teaching us how to walk. So we have a question here. What would you recommend for a household herbal first aid kit? I'm going to say this, please take it with a grain of salt, because things should be used specific to a person. And so I would ask you to read up on these things or to contact me afterward for specifics for you. But I'd say in general, herbal first aid, white willow bark, which was the source of aspirin. And you can either get actual bark, or now they have it powdered, and you can even buy capsules nowadays. White willow bark is a good pain reliever. Similarly, cloves, if you have whole cloves, they're very good for, say, toothaches. You can take a piece of a clove and chew it in the back, and it'll help relieve inflammation and pain in your mouth. Having some poultices or salves. I'm thinking of a salve of plantain, calendula, honey, beeswax, which can be used to help dress a wound. So sort of like Neosporin, you want to make sure that you clean the wound very well. And I also add comfrey to that if I could. Clean the wound very well with water, rinse it, because it will help to seal the skin, and then anything left as far as dirt or debris within that, once the skin heals over, that could get trapped and cause a larger infection. So you don't want to do that. So a salve or poultice of that. I'm very much into asking for wild medicine where you can find it, but doing so with mindfulness. So things like plantain, and I'm not talking about plantain banana, it's plantain leaf, is good also for bringing moisture and helping to heal wounds. You can actually make a plantain bandage to cover cuts and scrapes. Some powdered cinnamon, actually, to help with moving blood. So once you clean the wound, you can actually help stimulate healing with a little. Once you cleaned it, you put the dressing on first, add a little bit of powdered cinnamon on top, and bandage that over. It'll help increase blood flow to the area, as would a tea of rosemary. I'm trying to be very selective because there are other things that I could use, but they take more preparation. I would welcome you to, it's not a plug, it's so you can get in touch with me. Follow me on Instagram at altered.roots, ALTARED.roots. That's Instagram and Facebook. And we can arrange, I can answer more specific questions. Is there anyone else? I want to thank the Na'ah Illahee Foundation. I want to thank the organizers of Blue Jay Brings Back the Moon for welcoming me to share a story that I love and to share some of myself. And I look forward to hearing the other stories and sharing space with everyone else. Shki, thank you. Good night.